Hello and welcome everybody to yet another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. This is episode 178, and as always, I'd like to thank you for taking the time and hanging out here with me. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name's Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear. And please introduce yourself into the chat so you can get the nice Camera Junkie crew welcome. And as tradition goes around here, first thing we do is to check out who are the first junkies in the chat. All right. Okay, we got JP saying howdy, folks. Hope everyone has had an amazing week. It's been a rough week for me a bit, but still always amazing, especially capping it off with the Camera Junkie live stream. We got Paul hanging out saying what's up to the fam. Hey, Jeremy's here saying, hey, y'all. I was just watching this dude's channel, Marcus Picks. Anyone ever seen it before? I have seen Marcus Picks before. He's the giveaway king. Gretchen's also here saying hi to me and to Aiden and to all of the MCJ crew. Happy Saturday. Always a pleasure to have you here. Ernesto is in the house, my favorite tech, saying hello to myself. Happy Saturday. And everybody's saying, Paul saying, Jeremy, I haven't seen that. Yeah, I know of Marcus Picks. He, like I said, the king of giveaways. If you want to know a little bit more, we could talk about him. And Parker Jennings also in here saying hello to everyone. How you doing, Parker? As always, a pleasure to have you here. You know it's official if Parker Jennings is in your live streams. But with that being said, today's subject at hand is the secret, the what's not being talked about of Ecamm. And as some of you might know, I use Ecamm for basically everything that I do. My Zoom meetings, so to speak, have always been held through Ecamm using a simple interview link. So I'm able to schedule my own meetings and have it on my own timetable using this amazing program. I also use it to produce remotely the Flow podcast with Ecamm as well, where I have Doc Rock and Katie calling in to me and hanging out for about an hour every Tuesday. And once that's done, I have the files already recorded in my computer so that I can go ahead and start on the editing process after we've done our live broadcast. On top of that, like I mentioned before, this is episode 178. So 178 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live stream. And not all, but the majority of them were done with Ecamm. I started on PC, but we won't talk about those episodes. It's been a long time because ever since I tried Ecamm, I absolutely converted because I saw the potential and the power of this program, including, like I just said, being able to remote produce podcasts using that same interview link, all done through this amazing program. Now, if you have the ability to utilize this program or are in the Ecamm fam already, then you might know that you have access to both Ecamm Live and Ecamm Live Beta. Now, the beta is just a bunch of us crazies who like to test out things even if they break, right? And doing this live stream for so long, you know that no matter how prepared you are, live happens, and it could be an assortment of different things that can go wrong on a live stream. You just push through it and you work and get better and learn for the next time. And with that being said, Ecamm is absolutely my favorite tool from everything that I do in the production world, and also gives me the ability to record directly to my computer. So it's basically eliminated memory cards for me in my particular situation. I have multiple cameras that I'm able to switch to, and at the same time, they're all being recorded simultaneously in isolation, meaning that I have the ability to record all of these or better said, I have the ability to edit all of these at my heart's content, because even though I'm not displaying my side, rear, and overhead cameras, they are still being recorded in their own files in a folder as soon as I'm done with my production, which is why I absolutely love Ecamm. Like, that's it in a nutshell. Now, how do I use it on an everyday basis if I'm not recording or producing? Well, there's other features in the Pro series of Ecamm called virtual camera and virtual microphone, which give me the ability to take all the power of Ecamm that we utilize and harness and apply them to my favorite applications like Discord, Zoom, or like Google, what is it? Google Meetings, or Windows Teams. However it is that you're showing up online, you're able to use the power of Ecamm because of the virtual camera and virtual microphone, giving you the ability to use all the sound effects and everything and still broadcast that through whichever application you're using at the moment. And because of that, so many people, so many of the Ecamm fam use Ecamm to show up on Zoom every single day. And I mean every single day. Going live to Facebook, Instagram. Now, with Ecamm, you can broadcast vertically to Instagram so that you can go live and have that 16:9 aspect ratio instead of 9:16. I think I got that right, but the vertical one. So all of that is done through this program, and because of it being utilized with the virtual camera and virtual microphone so much, that Ken and Glenn, the masterminds behind this amazing program, have integrated or are in the process of integrating Zoom itself. So let me close this window because I don't want to give up the city's god just yet, but I wasn't planning on it. But I'm just gonna jump into live demo mode to show you kind of a behind the scenes of what's going on. Okay, let me go here, and we are in live demo. So now you're seeing what I see, right, as far as the production goes. But here's the thing: once I put my mouse over my main window, and you know what, let me close this sound effects window here. I'm just gonna make this as big as possible to better illustrate. I have controls over my main window on Ecamm, and one of the main features is right here that I'm trying to highlight is Zoom. Zoom is now integrated as part of the program of Ecamm. It's been infused, so to speak. So what does this mean? Well, it doesn't mean that you no longer need Zoom, because Zoom is its own platform. So the accounts that you have and the limitations to those accounts are still there. So you will still have to have a pro account on Zoom to maximize this to its fullest, because that way you're not bottlenecking yourself. And we were just seeing it last night on Peter Gregg's live stream, where he brought a couple of individuals, Sammy and Carlos, onto the stream via Zoom using this new integration, that he's using the free account, and because of it he's still limited to 40-minute meetings. So if you don't want to have like any bottlenecks in that aspect, you will still need to have a Zoom package. And now with Ecamm, you don't have to run two separate programs. So let me elaborate. The way that the virtual camera and virtual microphone work at Ecamm means that they need to be on and active. So if I want to show up with Ecamm, right, and have all of the power and all of the bells and whistles, let me get out of live demo, and have all of the power that comes with it, then I would need to have Ecamm running in the background so that it's controlling everything, and then being able to broadcast that to my destination, whether it be Zoom, Discord, so on and so forth. So that's how it's worked as of right now, and that's what's still available with Ecamm Live Professional. But if you're in the know, if you're one of the crazies like us that are running the beta aspect, then you know that we're still working out all the kinks and ironing out all the wrinkles. And that's why we do beta testing within our own community and give you access to do exactly that, so that we can put our best foot forward. But what it's doing now is that it's giving us the ability to host Zoom meetings directly through Ecamm. So, for example, if you don't have one of the latest and greatest machines, but you're still using this setup, you don't have to have two programs open now. You don't have to have Zoom open on top of Ecamm, right? And put more stress on your computer. It's integrated. And now you're able to, have full control over your guest cameras, right? That they would be bringing in the same way that you have the ability to do so with Ecamm with your Zoom guests, because they're coming in a separate Zoom window. So actually, let me show that again, because I got out of live demo. Going back to live demo, what happens when you click the Zoom icon, you now get the Zoom window, and it's very similar to like the camera switcher window here, right? You're seeing my avatar, my little icon there, but as you can see, we can join into meetings via link, schedule an event, right? And everything is integrated with, once again, like I said, your Zoom account. So the same way that you would create a new meeting, so on and so forth, now you have the ability to use it or do it directly through Ecamm. Once again, emphasizing that you don't need two programs open. So you can shut everything else down, open up Ecamm, and now Zoom is there instead of having to worry about both of them. And what we can do, oh, I wasn't trying to get out of live demo, sorry. What we can do is that when someone shows up to your meeting, they will show up, like I said, similar to the camera switcher window, which gives me the ability to just grab a camera like so and drop it onto the display, right? And now you'd be able to manipulate that new image, being that new person, into from the Zoom meeting into your production. So if I were to be recording this and hosting a webinar and having people that are going to come up and ask questions, the same way that you would do it in a Zoom meeting, you have the ability to have complete control. And you can see that you will have like all of Ecamm's features, meaning you have the ability to hit the famous little pencil and get the options into their file. So if somebody's might be coming in with like needing some brightening up, right, you have the ability to go in and brighten up, change the saturation and fix the colors and the picture of that individual before you bring them on, because once again you have complete control with Ecamm now integrated with Zoom. So this is like the next big thing. It's being worked out right now, and just the hype behind it, and it's only in the beta, is why I had to mention it to everyone here. So if you didn't know, this is exactly what's coming down the pike, right? Let me get rid of that, and now we can get out of live demo. And that's exactly what's coming, just not too far away, is the integration of Zoom fully fledged into the Ecamm non-beta, right, into just the Ecamm full-fledged, and that should be coming out in one of the newer updates. And just that alone is super exciting, that upon the other things that are already available. Like I believe I mentioned it in one of the last Ecamm update live streams that I did, which is the integration that they just collaborated with Scenery. And Scenery is an editing cloud-based editing program that you're able to log into and do all of your editing directly from like the cloud and from your web browser. So once again, it also takes a lot of the load of doing that actual work off of your computer, because it's being done on those on those processors, on those accounts, directly in Scenery. And it works very similar to Final Cut Pro. So if you've been learning Final Cut Pro, you wouldn't be able to like hide your enthusiasm for the fact that it runs very similar. So a lot of the keyboard shortcuts and things like that is just going to be second nature to you if you're in the world of Final Cut Pro editing, which is really cool. And like, let's say I were to have finished my live stream right now, I would get a prompt on my screen giving me the option to send it directly to Scenery right off the bat, without me having to press any other buttons. And that already starts the process, because once they have the file, Scenery, being a cloud-based program, has to render the files and make sure that they give us the proxies to allow us to edit. And that takes some time while it's like uploading and rendering those files and transcoding it, because Scenery has a really cool AI feature that allows you to apply that to the files that you upload. So that's a whole nother conversation that it's super interesting, that Scenery itself will then be able to, I can say, grab a 30-second highlight to make a reel for Instagram, and it will do that with the AI functionality built into Scenery, which is super cool. But I can't emphasize this enough, you guys. Like, it's right there, right on my door. Ecamm is such a big part of my life, and I would recommend it, and I do, to everyone and anyone, because it's the best tool that I think is available if you're looking to start producing content or producing media. Right? We're all media content creators, one way or another. So all right, that's my soliloquy. With that being said, let's go back to the chat to see exactly what you guys are saying. If you guys have any questions whatsoever. Hey, Sly sneaking in here saying hello to everyone. Says Marcus is spot on. Jeremy says interesting stuff on there, cheap and easy ways to get some cool stuff done. Yeah, that's why I follow his content, and I actually like it. Like, I'm gonna that's pretty much all I can say. Like, he does all the giveaways, and I find it to be really, really cool. But I think that's the least thing that I like about like his content, right? Because he produces so many like good hacks and tricks. I like the fact that Marcus Pix is always going for the convenience factor, which is the biggest thing, or the biggest hindrance when it comes to a lot of people when it comes to content creation. So I think he hits a lot of certain points, which is like the best camera is the one that you're going to have with you, and he's fallen in love with these small little micro cameras. He touches a lot into video camcorders, goes all in on lighting, but he also has a background in like traditional Hollywood movie and filmmaking. He's got a huge house, I think it's in Arizona or something like that, basically has a built-in movie studio, or like a recording studio, better said, right? It's not like a movie set, but for photography and some small sets, interviews, podcast sets like that. It's a mecca, and it houses the plethora of equipment that this man has. But it's also really cool that he gives back the way that he does, because he's come to the realization that even with all the stuff that he has, there's no way that he can use all of it, right? Which is part of the same kind of like tone that I'm always talking about, which is what I say: upgrade your skills before your gear. Now, when you do get gear upgrades, and they can be substantial, but there's so many videos that I've seen on Instagram and things of people joking around, like grabbing a camera here, for example, and they'll just stare at it and they're just looking, and then somebody will come in and be like, "Bro, what are you doing?" He's like, "They said this camera takes amazing pictures. I'm waiting for it to do it." You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you're the one who has the creative talent. You're the one who's utilizing the tool. And the tool that makes you want to create, the tool that makes you want to go out and shoot is much better than one that could have higher resolution and a lot more specs. And it's so overpriced that it's like an heirloom that you don't want to use because you're in fear of breaking it, that's where I never kind of want to be, which is also why I also recommend a lot of people to do exactly that. Like, look at the camera that I grabbed. This I picked up for $100 on the used market. It's beat up, but I kind of saved it from its previous owner because it was being mistreated. It came with a cracked LCD, right? So if you can see, the LCD is cracked there, but it still works. So the plastic is cracked, but everything is still functioning. Its body, that's the important thing. You know how they say they don't make things like they used to, and this wasn't that long. I think this was 2013, but this small little body is magnesium alloy. So let me see if I can show you with the overhead shot to get a better look at this. Focus, come on, there we go. Yeah, so if you can see those marks right there, once the paint comes off, right, it goes to silver, like to this gray, because that's what this entire body is made out of, magnesium alloy. And I had this camera that I like I said, I paid $100 for it on the used market, and I had it in the grocery store with me, and because Aiden had my attention, it fell right out of the little seat right next to Aiden, and when it fell, it hit the ground full force, but the magnesium alloy body kept this thing intact. And I know if I were to have been carrying my A6100 that supposedly has a lot more specs and stuff like that instead of this one, it would not have survived that fall, like hands down. And that's the differences between these camera bodies and things like that. But Marcus Picks, I've known of him for a long time. I would have to, admit that it's been a while that I haven't seen one of his pieces of content. I guess YouTube hasn't pushed it in front of me, because even though, and this is another conversation, like even though I'm subscribed to like 400 or 500 channels, I know they're there, but I don't get notifications for all of them. And that's also the smartness of YouTube, recognizing that, like, even if I were to be watching YouTube 24 hours a day and doing nothing else, it would be impossible for me to watch all the content of all the creators that I have on my list so far, right? So, like, why bother me with a notification of something that I can't watch? So I guess through my own viewing habits, I must be honest, I haven't been fed or notified of one of Marcus Pix's videos in a long time. But yeah, let's go back to this. Okay, so JP's telling me that he hopes I feel better soon. Dan Tana, how you doing, brother? He's saying nice. Yeah, I've been dealing with a bit of a nasal infection for this week, and it's just had me. I'm a user of the neti pots, if you know what those are. So I've just been flushing my nose like twice a day for like the entire week. So and I did it right before we went live, and I'm probably gonna do it again as soon as I'm done, because it's just, and we can go on a whole tangent with my nasal problems, but another day. Peter Greg is in the house. Had an amazing live stream yesterday. I was up cleaning and doing things, and so was he. What time did everything finish? Because I wasn't even paying attention to the time. I was just getting things done. He says, "Hi, Lewis. Decided to stay home tonight. LOL. You fighting a cold too? Wow, must be something in the air. Feel good. Hello. Say hi to Aiden. Absolutely, Aiden." Peter says hi. And another thing is that I mentioned to you even yesterday, like when you talk to him, blasting through the speakers, you definitely got his attention. And then you held his attention when you held up the little dog plush toy. Okay, Paul says that you can bring up to 8 people as Zoom guests at a time. That's a good point that I forgot to mention. So Jim's got a question. It says, so I have Zoom 1 Pro. I've heard of these limits on the resolution. Can it do 4K but 1080p maybe? I don't think it has 4K because if I'm correct, could be wrong, but if I'm correct, I don't think Zoom hosts 4K. I think the most that they do is 1080. And if you have a pro plan, you might just need to send them an email and make sure that your pro plan has that unlocked, because of the bandwidth and the majority of people using Zoom on cell phones, right? They have usually capped it down to something less. Some I've heard of even going as low as 480p, usually 720, and that's where they'll have you even as the highest, for mobile devices. So because of it, that's where you usually get capped. And I think all you would need to do is send Zoom an email to make sure that you're getting the full resolution that you're paying for with the pro plans. And Paul, it might be correcting me, says you have to have a Zoom business account in order to get 1080p. A pro plan will get you 720. Oh, you see? There you go. I said, correct me if I'm wrong, and he did so. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, for always being there. It says, and you see, if you request it. So at least on that point, I was right. There's Jim thanking him. Says, I'm still waiting on the camera that takes the great photo of old. Sir, lighting and any camera made in the last 15 years, man. And I could honestly say that we're 2024, so anything past 2009 is gonna give you great images. And I can tell you, we can get great images from cameras even before that, right? There's a lot of amazing wedding photographers that were using those old Nikons, those old Canons, and let's not even get into film, right? That all of that existed. So definitely we can get a good image of you, JP. See, even Gretchen's laughing. All right, and with that being all caught up, now let me see if I bring up. Yep. Let's see if we got it. Boom. Yes. Oh wait, that's not looking right. Oh, because I have this open as well, the chat. See 2 things. There we go. Boom. This week's Cities God channels that I think you should go and watch. And if you were reading ahead of me, then you would see that this week's Cities God is none other than Lizzy Pierce. Now, who's Lizzy Pierce? Let me give you a little bit of background. She's actually the wife to someone who has already appeared here on Cities God before. She is she's the wife of Chris Haas. I'm running such a blank on his last name. You know what? I'm gonna look his right now, because what's his last name? House? It's with the H, man. I'm brain farting big time. All right, hold on. I'm gonna get you his name in a second because I don't want to. The nose is getting to me. I don't want to close these windows, because as soon as I open up another window, it's gonna go to hell in a handbasket. Yeah, that's how I would say it. And shout out to Angelique Stitham. If she sees this, she knows what I'm talking about. So that's the way that I would say it. That's the way that I say it. So there you go. Okay. Excuse me. Well, with that being said, Lizzy Pierce, right? Her husband has been on Cities God before, and that's how I basically found her. They collaborate all the time, obviously, and being part of the business that they host, which is where they produce most of their content. They have a media company, a production company that does commercials, video lighting, and they are from the Great White North. As you can see, a photographer from Toronto and Ontario. And like I said, that's where their business is established, and that's how I was made aware of her. But once again, she's also an amazing content creator. She definitely falls into the Camera Junkie crew and not being stuck to one particular brand like her husband. So they've tried out a variety of different things. As you can see, here's a perfect illustration. Don't make me hate Sony. I'm switching cameras, right? Because she's going from Sony to Lumix, Panasonic. There's a variety of different things, but if you haven't heard of her before, let me be the first one to introduce you, Miss Lizzy Pierce, this week's Cities Ga channels that I think you should go and watch. What that says there. All right. So, boom, boom, and there we have it. And now that we're back to here, right? I'm gonna open up my other Google windows and find her husband so I can get his name, because it's gonna bother me. Sometimes when you get to first name basis with people, it's just like Chris. Yeah, Chris. Howe. That's it. Chris Howe, and spelled H-A-U. Yep. Before I typed it in, the brain signals, and there we go. So once again, let me go back to this. Hey. Oop. Now, as you can see, this man right here, Chris Howe, as you can see, obviously subscribed, long time Cities Ga, and that's his wife. So Chris Howe, once again, kind of Cities Ga 2.1 for today. But yes, he's been on it before, and I totally ran a mind blank brain fart on his last name. I was like, it's with an H, and I should have said, how could I forget this? And maybe it would have sparked something. All right, but that's it, everyone. We did it. I'm feeling a bit under the weather, and I think we checked everything off. Now, if there are any questions, I'm gonna go back to the chat to see, but if not, then as always, guys, thank you for hanging out here and being the reason why we're up to 178 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live stream. If you haven't gotten the drift already, we do this every single week without skipping a beat. So you can mark it on your calendar, set it up so that you do not miss the Camera Junkie live stream happening right here, same time, same place, next week. Guys, you are all amazing. I don't see anything coming in. I see Gretchen saying hell in a handbasket is one of my favorite comments. It was Angelique Stitham that was doing a question content, so to speak, on her Instagram, that she said, oh, because she was telling a story to her husband, and she said, oh, it went to hell in a handbag. And he was like, what are you talking about? It's a handbasket. You understand? And she was like, huh? Like, what's the difference? She's like, it's a complete difference. So they were hashing it out to figure out who says what. And the way she placed it, I was like, I don't even know how I say it. Right. And because of it, it was lingering in the back of my head, and when it came out, it was handbasket. So there we go, Angelique, and now you know the back end of that comment. So thank you, Sly. Things have been so crazy and so busy. I believe you're doing your things on Thursdays now, and I need to schedule them to make sure that I'm able to see them. Like, I believe you just completely switched over to Thursday, so that I need to mark that on my schedule, on my calendar, to make sure that I don't miss your live streams as well. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And Sly is saying good night. Jim is telling me to feel better. I will do my best. I need to flush my nose like right away. All right. JP saying thanks. Absolutely. He gets them all the time. Thank you, Parker, as always. Okay, but yeah, that's it, guys. As always, thank you for hanging out. You guys are what make this community thrive. You guys are what make this Saturday night show the place that I want to be week in and week out, because the Camera Junkie crew, you guys are what make this go. So as always, thank you for taking the time, or making the time, and hanging out here with me, with Aiden, for another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. We did it. 178 episodes in the books, and I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces for episode 179 when we do it all over again right here next week. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you next time. Talk to you. Oh,